and welcome to episode 91 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast. I'm Christine.
And I'm Sam.
Hope everyone's having a great day out there, whatever day it is you're listening.
It's a lovely rainy day here.
Yeah, we're getting some very much needed rain.
Yeah, desperately
today.
needed rain.
Yeah. So that's nice. It's kind of chilly and gray, and it's like a snuggle up kind of day.
It really is.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Sam, she did have to leave the house.
I did. I had to leave the house for a quick meeting, and I have to leave the house again later for a rehearsal. And
yeah, I'm sorry.
I wish I didn't.
I wish you didn't too.
But that's all right.
As much as we need this rain, I'm hoping it doesn't rain Wednesday because we have tickets to see Dave Matthews Band.
Indeed we do.
Which Sam apparently knows nothing about.
I know nothing about Dave Matthews.
Yeah, I think she'll enjoy it. I've never seen Dave Matthews Band live. They are all really, really good musicians. So
bodes well.
I'm looking forward to it. I just hope it's not a downpour because it's outside.
That would kind of suck.
That might be a little sucky.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that my sister and I saw a concert there when it was raining, and we didn't even have umbrellas, and it wasn't terrible.
No?
No, it wasn't terrible.
We'll manage. We have an umbrella. I'm pretty sure we both have ponchos around here somewhere.
Somewhere, probably.
So, we'll dig them up.
I might even have one like in the trunk of my car. Like one of those little ones that come in a packet,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we each have one of those.
Hey, do you want to talk about what we did this weekend?
Sure. So the big event of our weekend was our wedding anniversary.
Right. For those of you who might be new here or don't know, Sam and I are married, and we just celebrated our 11th wedding anniversary.
Yes, we did.
We've been together 16 years, and I always say, you've been putting up with me for 16 years.
And I don't deny that.
Hey.
You put it out there.
It's true. Yeah, I said it. So there you go.
That's right.
But we did something really cool on our anniversary.
We did. So we had the great fortune to go to the Western New York VegFest fundraiser dinner at the Vegan Center in Tonawanda. Mm-hmm. And this was hosted by Chef Kujo of Forage and Flame.
Mm-hmm. Chef Kujo Kumro.
Which is such an awesome name.
I know, right?
So awesome.
That is a really cool name.
It really is.
Yeah.
Like, how could you not be like a celebrity chef and have a name like that?
Yeah. It also included food cooked by Chef Rhonda Wells from Buffalo Plant Burger.
Yes. And so this was a absolutely gorgeous 5-course meal put forward by Chef Kujo and Chef Rhonda. And it was glorious.
It was pretty amazing.
From start to finish, it was just glorious.
Yeah.
And so, I'm very sorry that we can't actually share the food with you.
Right.
I really wish that was a possibility, but we can at least tell you what each course was.
We can. And if you want to see pictures of the food, I have posted pictures of all the food on our social medias, so you can check that out on either Facebook or Instagram. Mm-hmm. But before we jump into the food, I wanted to say how amazingly they transformed the space at the Vegan Center.
Oh, yeah.
Into a more intimate kind of space.
Absolutely. Normally, the main room of the Vegan Center, it's kind of wide open and fluorescent lighty and all of that kind of thing. And that works just fine for vegan pop-up markets, but they forewent the fluorescent lights and brought in some incandescents, just some lamps, and they put 3 nice long tables together in kind of a U-shaped pattern. So made one large dining table and just dressed the place beautifully with LED candles and
it was really nice.
It was a really wonderful atmosphere.
So when we first got there, we were like one of the first people there. Funny enough, because we come from like the furthest away, but that's the way it seems like it always is. Even like when we do things with my family who are also an hour or so away and we're supposed to meet somewhere, we'll often be the first ones there.
Well, it's because we live further away and because we don't know, within an hour drive, something might happen. We might hit traffic. We might,
so we leave a little early.
We might have to stop for gas. We might something may happen that will, get in the way of our perfect arrival time. Yeah. So we leave a little early.
Yeah. But what I was going to say is when we first got there, they had a beautiful snack table set up with vegan charcuterie. And what else was out there? on the table. There was a charcuterie tray.
There were
crackers.
a couple of charcuterie trays.
Yeah.
So there was one that I didn't try because I'm not a fan of the flavor of ham, but I know you tried it.
It was really good. It was like a vegan kind of like really thinly sliced either ham or prosciutto, and it was really good. It was really mild tasting. What you would have liked, it wasn't hammy at all. And also there were teas provided by Cup of Culture.
Yes.
Those were good.
Those were lovely. But back to the charcuterie, there was a vegan pepperoni, a vegan roasted turkey. There were some wonderful fruits, dried apricots, fresh strawberries, some lovely caramelized walnuts, the fresh vegan mozzarella with balsamic.
That was delicious.
Which for me, I think was put that with the pepperoni. That was just fabulous.
Yeah, really good.
Just amazing.
Perfect texture.
Yeah, and on a good cracker. It was really good. There were some pickles and olives, some artichoke leaves. Yeah, it was just really, it was beautiful,
Yeah,
number one.
It was a pretty spread.
Just really, really flavorful all the way around.
Yeah, and I mentioned those teas. I wanted to tell you what teas they were because they were really good. And I'm not a tea person. I know I've had Cup of Culture's stuff before, like at a VegFest or something like that.
And we have some in the cabinet.
Yeah, we do. They had two teas. Their one tea was a Soul Shine, and these were cold teas.
Yes.
And which is a rooibos flavored with sweet orange and safflower. And the other one was their fruit tea berry punch, which is an herbal tea with essence of summer berries. I tried both of them, and both of them were really good.
I agree. I tried both, and they were wonderful, but I had several glasses of the berry tea. It was really delightful, and I thought it complemented the meal really nicely.
Yeah. Yeah. They also had, some cold seltzers and stuff like that if you wanted something bubbly.
Yep. Yeah, you had some bubbly, but I
did.
can't get past that aftertaste.
Yeah, Sam's not a fan of seltzers because she doesn't like the taste of seltzer water. So.
I don't.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a problem.
Yeah,
that carbon dioxide flavor, I just don't like it.
Yeah, they all have that seltzery aftertaste. Yeah. So let's jump into the food.
Okay, so there were 5 courses, as I think we already mentioned. And I believe the first one, as we were driving home, Christine said was her favorite, was the first course.
I think it's the course that surprised me the most.
Okay.
Because
Do you want to tell us about it?
Oh, sure. I'll tell you. Now, first of all, this fundraiser was called For the Love of Animals. So the first course that we're talking about was vanilla balsamic strawberries, a chèvre on a baguette with white balsamic, fresh basil, and thyme.
What a combination of flavors.
I think that's what it is. I read this because we had the menu in front of us. And I'm like, well, that sounds pretty good. But when it came out, I couldn't believe how amazingly all those flavors went together.
Yeah, and how beautifully they balanced.
Yeah.
Like nothing particularly dominated. It was just gorgeously kind of harmonized.
Yeah.
Really. And you just got this, if you took a bite and got the bread and the chèvre and the strawberries and the little kind of pickled salsa that was on top of it.
Yeah.
It was just a glorious bite.
It was, and the pickle on the strawberries blended so well with that like super creamy cheese on top of the baguette. It was just a perfect bite,
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
it was great.
yeah.
It was really great. So that was our opener. And then moving into the second course, which was the course presented by Chef Rhonda Wells, we had a creamy Cajun stuffed shell, and the shell was stuffed with jackfruit and a vegetable medley. Now, I had never had a vegan stuffed shell, but I know that when I think of a stuffed shell, I think of a shell noodle stuffed with ricotta.
Cheese, usually.
With cheese,
yeah.
yes. Maybe some ricotta and mozzarella, but
Right.
mostly ricotta cheese.
Yeah, this was really different.
This was super different. So this was jackfruit and some cooked vegetables, and it was beautifully Cajun spiced. The texture was fantastic, and I'm relatively new to jackfruit. I haven't had a lot of occasion to experiment with jackfruit, and this absolutely made me go, we need to work more with jackfruit.
I agree. And I know I have some like young jackfruit in a can in our pantry, and I have yet to cook with it.
Yeah.
Because I think, I don't know, I feel a little daunted by it. So I should definitely look into some recipes and try it out.
Yeah, because this was beautiful.
Yeah.
Just texturally and flavor-wise, just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, and then it had this kind of like, I don't know. It had like a Cajun cream sauce.
Yes, like a creamy sauce.
Yeah.
Yep.
That it was like sitting on this Cajun cream sauce. It was so good.
Yeah, it was
and
wonderful.
beautiful.
Absolutely. Just glorious. What came next?
Oh, our third course was Kujo's crab stack. And what this is a artichoke, hearts of palm with microgreens and a parm tuile. It's like a kind of like a deconstructed vegan crab cake. And it was like sitting on this bed of like perfect avocado. It was texturally, it was fantastic because you had these creamy and the crunchy of the Parmesan tuile. And of course, this is all vegan.
Yes.
I don't know how they make those Parmesan tuiles.
Because you've tried that before and it hasn't really worked for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think if I had to choose, and it would be really hard to, but I think this might be my favorite course of the night. Yeah. Just because, I mean, I used to really enjoy crab. And so, but I've never tried a vegan crab salad or a vegan crab cake. You know, I've been a little bit dubious about going towards vegan seafood for some reason.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know why. You know, my
it's
favorite.
It's not seafood. It's sea life.
Thank you. No, you're absolutely
I'm
correct.
teasing you, but yeah.
Yes,
you know, I mean, words matter.
But what my favorite food, actually, my favorite protein pre-veganism was scallops.
That's right. Yep.
I absolutely love the taste of scallops, but I have yet to try vegan scallops.
Yeah, I've seen lots of recipes for vegan scallops where you use like trumpet mushrooms, and they look really good.
Yeah, but I have yet to try them, and so I don't know why, but for some reason I've been kind of steering away from those types of dishes, and just the combination of the artichoke and the hearts of palm, the seasoning was just spectacular.
Yeah,
and you're right. The avocado was perfect, just beautifully diced and kind of reconstituted into this little cake with a squeeze of lime and a bit of salt and pepper. Just absolutely gorgeous. And so, of course, me, because I love buildable food, I took my parm tuile and I put a little avocado on there and I put a little bit of crab salad on there. And I was just in heaven.
Yeah, it was delicious.
It really was.
And texturally spot on. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. And the cool thing about this whole evening was that, you know, as the plates were served, there were about 15 of us, I think, sitting at dinner. You know, everybody would come in, everyone's talking in between courses. And as soon as the plates come out and the forks are picked up, like everyone goes silent.
Yeah, it got really quiet.
And then all you just hear is,
or wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like it was really very cool.
All conversation really stops at that point.
In appreciation of this absolutely beautiful food.
Yeah.
All right. So the fourth course was the comfort food course. If you ask me, this was the 24-carat chicken, CHIK''N. And so this was a breaded vegan chicken fillet with a potato gratin, petite carrots, and an agave Dijon and tarragon sauce. And again, this was so warming and satisfying. Like this was exactly the kind of food I want on a fall day.
Yeah, it's definitely like a more comfort food plate.
Definitely comfort food.
And the potatoes were fantastic.
I've never seen potatoes made quite that way.
Yeah. It's a potato gratin, and it was like in a perfect little rectangle.
Yes.
And they were just perfectly done.
Yep.
Like just a little bit of bite in them and flavored just amazingly. I think everybody's favorite part of that dish was the potatoes.
Well, they were, I mean,
at least around us.
Yes, absolutely.
Everyone was raving about the potato.
Well, except that Annette didn't finish her potatoes, and
I ended up finishing them.
Capucine was about to take her plate away and was admonishing Annette, "Are you really going to let those potatoes sit there?"
Yeah,
and we're like, "No, we'll finish them."
Yeah, we finished her potatoes.
We finished Annette's potatoes, so and Annette also gave me her carrots because there were these beautiful baby rainbow carrots on the side, and she does not like cooked carrots, so she handed them my way, and I was happy to accept them.
Yeah, because we love carrots.
Love carrots.
Especially those little petite carrots. They're good.
Oh, so good.
They're like sweet. And yeah, so what was the final course?
Well, that was the dessert, and that was a poached pear with candied pecans, vegan mascarpone cream, a shortbread cookie, and an exquisite salted caramel sauce.
Yeah, Sam was raving over the caramel sauce. We talked about this earlier. Caramel sauce or caramel sauce? Okay.
Caramel.
And I was raving about the shortbread cookie.
The shortbread cookie was perfect.
Yeah.
And I was kind of dragging my shortbread cookie through the caramel sauce. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. So this just wonderful, sweet, soft poached pear. The crunchy pecans as a contrast to that. I love candied nuts.
Yeah.
So that was fantastic.
They were good.
Yeah. Just the cream of the mascarpone and then a perfect shortbread cookie and a just really decadent caramel sauce.
Yeah, it was a really nice, light ending to the whole meal. Yeah.
Yes. Now each of these courses, because it's basically a tasting menu, we're not getting massive plates.
Well, you would hope not with 5 courses.
No,
you can't.
No, you can't. You absolutely can't. And so it was just the perfect amount of each thing to have you leave the table feeling satisfied.
Yeah.
And, again, one of the things we love about vegan food, not stuffed, not
Right.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, you're not uncomfortable. Even though you just have been eating.
I had a 5-course meal.
You were eating for 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all in all, I thought the whole event was really well done. And the food, of course, was spectacular.
It was.
Hopefully we raised some good money for Western New York VegFest and for the chefs involved in preparing the food. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, Christine and I were talking about it. And I think we both maintained that the best single vegan meal we've ever had was the first time we went to Plant a Queen in Toronto.
Yeah.
And honestly, as I was eating this food on Saturday night, I'm like, wow, this is coming really close. I mean, completely different flavor profiles, completely different techniques.
Yeah.
But just for overall quality of the food, freshness of the food, the care taken in preparation of the food, just the whole thing.
And the beautiful plating.
And the beautiful plating.
Yeah.
Like this was coming really, really close to that.
Oh, yeah. I totally agree. And I think that a part of the reason why my opinion of that meal at Planta, I think, is because it's the very first all-vegan restaurant we've ever been to.
That's true.
So I think our opinion of that food may have been skewed a little bit. Not to say that the food wasn't great. I mean,
It's
the food
amazing.
the food is fantastic at Planta Queen, and anybody that has gone there will agree with me on that.
Yeah.
But I do think that our opinion may, if we go back to Planta Queen, we might have a different experience.
Oh, well,
you know what
and
I mean?
I think we have to make that a priority.
Yeah.
The next time we're in Toronto, when we go in August.
Yeah.
I think we need to go to Plant a Queen.
Yeah, we've done the other Plantas.
Well, we've done Queen and Cucina.
Yeah.
We haven't done the burger place. And
I think
haven't
Planta
done the
Burger
pizza.
may have closed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Bummer.
Yeah.
I would go back to Planta Cucina in a heartbeat too.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Like, their food is delicious.
It is.
This was, I think, because it was prepared specifically for us and specifically for a small group of people, there was just so much attention paid to everything,
Yeah.
It
was beautiful.
Yeah, it really was. So kudos to Chef Kujo and Chef Rhonda because we enjoyed every bite.
Yep. And we are going to have to put a trip to LA to actually go to Forage and Flame on our list at some point.
For wherever they're doing food.
Yes.
We have to find them.
We must follow them.
Yes.
Yes. We must follow them.
We will follow you, Chef Kujo. Just tell us where you are. Anyway, yeah, that was super enjoyable and just a perfect way to spend our anniversary, I thought.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely better than last year's anniversary.
What happened? Oh,
We were in Florida and got COVID.
yeah, you can go back in our catalog and listen to what happened when we were in Orlando. It was not pleasant.
Although I think on our actual anniversary night, we were at the pirate dinner, which was fun.
Nobody was sick yet. So
No, but that's where we all got COVID.
we're almost certain that that's where we picked it up.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, crowds, Florida. It was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to move on and talk about this chocolate we're going to taste?
I really do want to move on and talk about this chocolate that we're going to taste. So, as you know, if you've been listening, last weekend, not this one that just passed, but the weekend before, we were up at the Vegan Center for a pop-up market. And one of our fellow vendors was the crew from Blue Table Chocolates, and they were selling their dairy-free collection. And they have expanded into some absolutely gorgeous vegan truffles. And so we have taken it upon ourselves to taste test.
I know somebody has to do it.
Somebody has to do it.
Yeah. It's
These
tough. It's
truffles
tough.
on the show. And so last week we taste tested the raspberry jasmine truffle and the coconut caramel latte truffle. So today we are going to taste one truffle that is new to both of us.
Okay.
And that is the strawberry champagne truffle, which is a strawberry jelly that sits over a dark chocolate and champagne oat milk ganache.
Oh, that sounds good.
And the second is the, which Christine has not tasted, but I have, which is the apple chicory hazelnut. So this is an apple cider and jelly spiced with dried chicory root over a caramelized hazelnut giangua.
What is a giangua?
I don't know the exact definition of that. I know it's more like a truffle center, I think, than a ganache.
I want to find out.
All right. Do you want the spelling?
Hey, Siri, what is a giangua?
Gianduja.
Siri doesn't know. Siri, what is a giangua? Am I pronouncing it wrong? Siri just wants to tell me about jaguars. So
Okay, so let's leave that out of it. But no, I believe it's more of a truffle center than a ganache. Ganaches are creamier.
Okay.
Truffles have a little bit more bite to them.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's, and anyone out there who really knows and can correct me, please do.
Yeah.
But I believe that that is the difference.
We have any chocolate experts out there? Let us know.
I'm only an expert in eating chocolates.
Me too. Okay, so the first one is the raspberry champagne.
No, this is the strawberry champagne.
Oh, strawberry champagne.
Yes.
Okay.
So here we go. The strawberry is the star in this one.
Okay, when you first bite into it, you get the kind of this burst of the strawberry jelly. And then, of course, their amazing chocolate kind of takes over. But there is definitely a champagne kind of aftertone to the chocolate.
It's very subtle, which is good because, I mean, I think chocolate is going to overpower champagne every time.
Oh, yeah.
There's just no way. But to have that little bit of tang underneath that's kind of complementing the tang of the fruit is really wonderful.
Yeah. Do you remember those chocolates they used to, I don't know, maybe this was before your time, but like in the 60s and early 70s, they used to have these like gift boxes of chocolate shaped like little bottles.
Oh, yeah.
And they had alcohol. It was chocolate and alcohol.
I remember those.
I'm kind of getting that
kind
a
of
little nostalgic vibe from this.
But super elevated.
Oh, yeah, totally elevated.
Yeah.
And not like, there's not huge alcohol overtones. There's no alcohol overtones, actually.
No, it's lovely.
But it just kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah. But for me, in there, the strawberry was the star.
Very
It's
good.
really good. Yeah. Our next taste test is the apple chicory hazelnut. I love this so much. When I was looking at the descriptions of all of the truffles, before we had tasted any of them, this was not a flavor combination that I thought I was going to be crazy about. This is spectacular.
It is like a mix of flavors that you're like, really? Does that work? But the apple and the hazelnut is brilliant. Just brilliant. It makes me think an apple pie with hazelnut would be really delicious.
This gorgeous apple jelly, which has more than a hint of cinnamon in there.
Yeah, it's kind of leaning towards like an apple butter.
It almost is.
Yeah.
But texturally, against kind of the creaminess of the chocolate, is such a wonderful textural contrast that then blends so beautifully with the hazelnut, which is like a really strong part of the flavor profile. Like, this is absolutely gorgeous. I could have a box just of those.
Yeah.
And be really, really happy.
Yeah, that would be dangerous.
Oh my God, they're incredible.
It's really good. I'm surprised by that. I mean, I know you said it was one of your favorites when you tried it in the other package that we had. And now I see why. It was really good. It's a really good combination.
Surprising. It's surprising and really unique. I've never seen anything quite like it. Yeah, so I'm just completely in love with the apple chicory hazelnut.
Yeah, because you get that like apple and like Sam said, there's that cinnamon undertone.
It's tart and sweet and warm and creamy and nutty. It's like every good thing.
Very good. But I do feel bad for you listening because you don't have chocolate and we do. But if you would like to try these chocolates, you can go to bluetablechocolates.com and order it. They ship everywhere. They ship
yes, they do.
Throughout the United States.
And if you are in the Buffalo area, you can visit them at 799 Seneca Street, Suite D1 in Buffalo, New York. You definitely want to drop in and get yourself some of these chocolates. They are just amazing.
Yeah, and I think Strong Hearts in Buffalo is also carrying some of their chocolates. So if you're in Strong Hearts, like to get lunch or something like that, check out their cold case and see if they have any there.
Yeah. This apple chicory hazelnut truffle may be the single best piece of vegan chocolate I've ever had.
They're amazing. I mean, I know they're vegan chocolates, but they're just chocolates. You can't tell they're vegan chocolates. So
no, absolutely not.
They're creamy and super chocolatey and not like oily or anything like that. They're fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. So thank you to the folks at Blue Table Chocolates. We will continue this adventure next week.
Big ups to Blue Table Chocolates for those delicious chocolates. Should we move on? This is a really food-heavy beginning of the show, but
it is, but that's all right.
Yeah,
so
we have a recipe.
Let's move on to this week's recipe from our vegan kitchen.
So this week I made, actually just today, I made one of my recipes, and this recipe is garlic pasta with white beans and broccoli.
Sure was.
Yeah, and you can get the full recipe on our Patreon page if you're interested.
So this was a lovely penne pasta with a garlic sauce, white beans, and broccoli. Now, the first time Christine ever put pasta and beans together in the same dish, I was kind of like, what?
Yeah, Sam, that's new for Sam.
It is new.
I think it's an Italian thing. You know, white beans or cannellini beans or white navy, whatever your favorite white bean is. You want to get a bean that's kind of hold up so you can stir it and it's not going to break apart. But it just adds a creamy texture.
Yeah, and if you think about it, it makes total sense. I mean, what is like the soup of Italy? Pasta fagioli.
Right.
Pasta and beans. And so, you know, we've just taken the soup out of it, essentially, and instead added some beautiful sauteed broccoli. And what I thought was most genius about this recipe was how you made the sauce.
Well, I have in the recipe, I have two versions. I did the creamy version, which is at the end, you blend avocado. I used two smaller-ish. One, if you have one big would probably work, but I used two smaller ripe avocados, and I blended them up with I have a little immersion blender just because I didn't feel like getting anything out and cleaning it. But you could even just mash it with a fork really good, and then right at the end before you serve it, just, you know, mix that in with everything. Yeah,
it was beautiful. And because of the flavoring of the pasta and the beans and the broccoli, you didn't get an avocado flavor in the sauce. No, it was just a very kind of mild, creamy, beautiful sauce. I loved it.
Yeah, it just adds some fat to the dish. Yeah. The sauce in the original version is saucy because it's cheese, like vegan Parmesan cheese. We use the Follow Your Heart and, you know, the sprinkle cheese kind.
Yeah.
And it's just, you add a little water to the bottom of the pan, and then you add the cheese and just a little bit of vegan butter just to fatten it up a little bit. But it's not super creamy. I mean, it's creamy because of the beans and all that. But if you want it extra creamy, like I did today,
add the avocado.
Add that avocado in with a little lemon juice at the end. And
it's beautiful.
It just kind of brightens it up a little bit.
We did a squeeze of lemon juice over the top. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So big thumbs up for this recipe.
Yeah.
Loved it.
And you can use any pasta whatever your favorite pasta is will work with this recipe. So.
Yeah. Christine did penne. My favorite are shells. But we didn't have any shells.
I think a farfalle would work really well with this recipe.
Yeah, it would.
But we had penne, so that's what I used.
Yep. It was great.
Yeah. So
good cooking there, Poops.
I'm glad you enjoyed that recipe.
I sure did.
Yeah. Hey, we have some really kind of exciting news in our noteworthy section. A lot of people are their minds are kind of exploding. But Taco Bell has released in 3 locations throughout the United States. That's 3 separate Taco Bell restaurants, not 3 cities. 3 separate Taco Bell restaurants are now carrying their fully vegan Crunchwrap.
Yes. So at 3 very specific locations, one in New York City, one in Orlando, and one in Los Angeles, for a limited time, the vegan Crunchwrap will be served, consisting of vegan seasoned plant-based protein, a blanco sauce, a warm nacho sauce, shredded lettuce, and diced tomatoes wrapped in a crunchy tostada shell.
The reviews from people I've seen that have been able to get their hands on it are good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really hope that they put this on the menu.
Well, I mean, when you mentioned that Lauren Toyota had said that she loved it and that she had never had Taco Bell before.
She had never been to a Taco Bell before. So she didn't, there was nothing, she had no preconceived ideas about what the food was even like. And she thought it was fantastic.
Because Lauren Toyota, she's no joke.
No, she knows her food.
She knows her food. So if she's saying it's good stuff, I'm ready to believe it.
Yeah, and everybody else that I have seen trying it, big thumbs up. So yeah.
So unfortunately, we are not close enough to New York, Orlando, or LA to try this out at the moment. But we certainly hope that we might see it at a Taco Bell nearer to us in the not too distant future.
Yeah, let's hope. So watch for that. If you see it anywhere, let us know. If you see it anywhere out in the wild.
The native Taco Bell vegan Crunchwrap.
Yeah.
A few moments later.
Okay, we're going to move on to our main topic. Now, I polled our listeners on both Facebook and Instagram and asked them, would you rather... Oh, we played a little Would You Rather game. Would you rather have an episode featuring what's new in vegan news, or would you rather have an episode with a movie review? Overwhelming response was vegan news.
Yes.
So this week's main topic is what's new in vegan news.
So first on our news list is a really delightful story, and this is coming from One Green Planet. In a remarkable fusion of romance and activism, Slovenian content creator Matej Glajvar and Swiss nurse Anja Glajvar transformed their wedding day into an incredible showcase of animal rights advocacy. The couple, who fell in love at an animal rights workshop, not only committed to a 100% vegan wedding, but also used their nuptials to rescue animals and raise awareness about veganism. This audacious series of events was all captured on film for their upcoming documentary, Human Kindness: The Animal Dilemma.
How great is that?
That's amazing. I absolutely love that.
Yeah, so... Anna and Matej have a long history of vegan activism. Having been involved for over 4 years before their engagement, they decided to make their wedding day count, using it as a platform to highlight the suffering of animals and create impactful change. As Matej stated, we had 3 days of action, rescuing farm animals and even staging a peaceful protest at a church with the bodies of 2 animals they had found on farms.
The wedding weekend also included a surprising turn of events. Matej was arrested while protesting and spent 7 hours in jail. This experience underscored the challenging road the couple has taken, championing animal rights even at the risk of legal consequences. And their mission doesn't end with their wedding. They are now creating a documentary featuring interviews with notable vegans, farmers, and everyday people wrestling with the quote-unquote animal dilemma, the paradox of loving animals while also consuming them.
Yeah, so the couple is currently crowdfunding to complete the remaining half of their documentary. And with the help of Darren Kavanaugh, who has contributed to films like Kill Bill and Lion King, they aim to make their movie bigger than initially thought and extend its impact beyond the vegan community.
What started as an unconventional wedding has morphed into a bold mission to raise awareness for animal rights. Now it's your turn to join in. Become part of this groundbreaking project by donating via Indiegogo and help Anya and Matej finish their inspiring documentary. This story proves that weddings can be more than a celebration of love between two people. They can also serve as a platform to spread love and compassion for all living beings. It's a testament to the extraordinary lengths some will go to for the cause they believe in.
And we'll link to this article if you want to donate to that cause to help them get this documentary made. I just can't get over what a fantastic idea this was. I mean, I went to a wedding and an animal rights protest broke out. You know, that's just amazing.
Absolutely fantastic. If we ever do any kind of vow renewal or anything like that, I think we should take a page out of Matej and Anya's book.
Yeah, right? I mean, I don't want to get arrested, but, you know.
No, we can kind of leave that part out of it, but still to, make it something that's, all encompassing of
make
veganism
it something,
and animal rights.
Something that, kind of makes a difference.
Yeah.
That makes a statement. I think that's a great idea.
I like it.
Yeah. And in that same vein, and also from One Green Planet, we wanted to talk about some animal rights activists that you should know and possibly follow.
Before we get to that, though, I really just want to note, because we're talking about weddings right now. There's also an article here on One Green Planet that is titled "Parents Furious at Daughter for Wanting to Serve Vegan Food at Her Own Wedding." Yeah,
I think I read that article.
So recently, a vegan Reddit user posted on the forum r/vegan asking for advice about her upcoming wedding. She explained that her parents are paying for everything and have repeatedly told her that they will do whatever she and her fiancé want to a reasonable degree. So the pair met with a caterer and came up with a custom sample menu of vegan food. But when she told her parents, all went south. The Reddit user explains that her parents were both taken aback when she told them she had requested vegan food. After all, she's been vegan for 7 years at this point, but they have never cared to understand how much veganism means to her. I was thinking I just wouldn't tell anyone about the food being all vegan, but it's hard not to when my parents are paying and probably doing the tasting later, she wrote. Her parents told her how disappointed they were in her, and they said they thought they had raised her better. Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry, but what is wrong with those parents? Number one, this woman has been vegan for 7 years. They should have assumed the food at her wedding would be vegan. What else would it be? She's not going to have a wedding and serve animal flesh at her wedding as a vegan. It's just not going to happen. And the fact that they're disappointed in her, she should have just kept it to herself. She should have just never told anybody.
Yeah. So she says for them, she's being inconsiderate, inhospitable, and mean. And they feel like that she is forcing her ideals on others, that she is being selfish, and that usually they're proud of her decisions, but this is her worst one yet. So then her dad texted her and asked if they could just serve some salmon at the wedding. He also asked her to send him links about why veganism is so important to her so that he could better understand.
Yeah, I'm surprised that if she's been vegan for 7 years that number one, that she hasn't shared that information with them, why she's vegan. And number two, that they haven't asked that information up until now. It just seems like a kind of maybe a strange relationship she has with her parents. So,
yeah. So now the woman doesn't know what to do. She thinks that it isn't too far along in the planning process and she could easily pay her parents back for the deposit on the venue. So she's considering an elopement or a micro wedding where she and her fiancé actually have control.
Yeah, that's kind of sad that she's considering, just canceling the whole thing and eloping because her parents are against the whole vegan food at the wedding thing. I really think it's surprising that the parents didn't expect her to have vegan food at her wedding. Right. It's just really odd to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she should have never told them. Mm-hmm. She should have just did what she wanted and, been done with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's her wedding.
It is her wedding.
What do they care?
I mean, it's one day.
It's one day.
And isn't the whole thing, like when a wedding is being planned, you don't mess with the bride.
You don't.
You do what the bride wants.
You do. You're supposed to.
Yes.
And
that's the deal.
It's one day out of your life. For one day out of your life, you can't eat some really delicious vegan food and enjoy your daughter's wedding.
Yeah.
It just seems so petty to me. And if I were her, I probably would just say, well, then forget it. We're eloping.
Yeah.
All
right.
If that's what you want to do.
I just had to toss that in there because I'm like, really with this?
Yeah, I read that article also and was just kind of flabbergasted at how the parents reacted. It just seems so unreasonable.
Now, let's move on to your 10 animal rights activists that we should know and follow.
Yeah, and some of these activists I don't know, so
you should know and follow them.
We're learning too. Not everyone who becomes vegan is interested in becoming an activist. However, the only way we're going to move closer to a vegan world is if more and more people speak up for those voiceless and hidden victims. Now, this is what the article says. I disagree that animals are voiceless. You just have to listen. Going on. Luckily, there are many very talented individuals who are leading that charge. Some of them are expert debaters. Some have created amazing documentaries. And some give Oscar acceptance speeches highlighting the cruelty of the dairy industry. Wink, wink, Mr. Joaquin Phoenix. So the first activist that this article highlights is Wayne Pacelle. And I have heard of Wayne Pacelle. In the article, they say that the first number one spot was actually originally reserved for Alex O'Connor, a.k.a. the Cosmic Skeptic. And we talked about the Cosmic Skeptic a number of episodes back because he is no longer vegan. So with that said, Wayne Pacelle is probably a much better fit for this list, even if Alex hadn't undergone his recent transformation. Pacelle is the former president of the Humane Society of the United States and has since founded Animal Wellness Action and the Center for a Humane Economy. These organizations have helped pass several federal animal welfare laws, even more statewide initiatives, and improve the way corporations treat animals. Pacelle and his organization were also key players in helping to get the FDA Modernization Act passed.
Yep, that definitely makes him an activist rock star.
Yeah.
As is our next friend, who is probably my favorite of the vegan activists out there.
Definitely one of mine, too.
I just adore him, and that is Ed Winters, better known as Earthling Ed. He is an extremely patient, knowledgeable, diplomatic, and prolific animal rights activist. From debating college students to giving college lectures to opening vegan restaurants to opening an animal sanctuary to writing a book to creating a documentary and amazing YouTube content, Ed Winters is a certified vegan powerhouse.
Yeah, definitely check out Ed Winters' YouTube channel and any of his social media. He has a lot of really great things to say.
Yeah, absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I am a full-on Earthling Ed fan.
Next up on the list is Joey Carbstrong. Are you familiar with Joey Carbstrong?
I am. Mm-hmm. And the first sentence of this paragraph sums it up for me.
It's for me too.
Joey Carbstrong may come off as brash or too direct for some people, but for too many others, that is exactly the kind of messaging they need to make the switch to veganism. So for me, I find Joey Carbstrong to be a little abrupt.
Yeah, I would call Joey Carbstrong, he's like the Joe Rogan of the vegan world.
Oh, that's actually a really good analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's kind of in your face. And,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So Joey's no-nonsense approach has garnered him a huge following on YouTube, and he's been interviewed by several large TV networks and radio stations. He's also had some of the most epic vegan debates you'll ever see.
Yeah, if you enjoy listening to vegan activists debate with non-vegans, Joey Carbstrong is kind of the go-to there. If you want really thoughtful, introspective debating,
Ed Winters.
Ed Winters is your guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Joey Carbstrong is not personally my cup of tea, but he certainly does good work out there.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he's part of the fold. No question.
Yeah. He appeals to a different type of person.
Yes.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we need all kinds.
We do.
So
yeah.
Rock on.
Now, this next guy I'm not familiar with, Humane Hancock, which I am assuming that is not his given name. Humane Hancock, or Jack Hancock, is a vegan YouTuber. He may not have the same notoriety as many of the others on the list, but he has one of the most unique and interesting perspectives in this arena. especially considering his father is a slaughterhouse worker.
Oh, wow.
He has a humorous and compassionate approach, and his videos on wild animal suffering are a must-watch. So I'll have to check out Humane Hancock. I'm not familiar with his videos.
Definitely. I'm not familiar either, but that we'll have to check him out for sure. Number 5, we have Billie Eilish. So Billie Eilish has been vegan for a while, but initially she didn't want to talk about it much. In recent years, however, that has completely changed. She often uses her social media to highlight the abuses animals face in various industries. She's created an eco-friendly world tour, and she even took a break from touring to travel to Capitol Hill to support legislation for more accessible plant-based meals in schools.
I love Billie Eilish. She definitely speaks to the youth.
Absolutely.
In the movement, and she's really super well-spoken. I saw an interview with her, and I believe it was David Letterman interviewed her, and she was just super well-spoken, and especially when she talked about her veganism, I was impressed with what she had to say.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I'll have to look at a bit more of her stuff as well.
Mm-hmm. The next activist on this list is one of my favorites. It's Joanne MacArthur. She's a photographer. She's an award-winning photojournalist from Canada who's probably best known for her We Animals book. Joanne's heartbreaking, striking, and courageous documentation of the industries where animals are used has been a powerful catalyst for awakening more empathy and passion in people who want to stop the exploitation of animals. Besides her books, Joanne has contributed photos and writing pieces to some of the largest publications in the world and was even featured in the 2013 documentary The Ghosts in Our Machine.
Yes.
Her work is
phenomenal,
heartbreaking, raw.
Yes.
If you ever want to open someone's eyes to what the inside of factory farms looks like, seek out her work.
Yes.
Because it's very moving and real.
Absolutely. Next on our list is Joaquin Phoenix.
You can't have a list without Joaquin Phoenix.
You can't have a list without Joaquin Phoenix. So not only is he or has he been a producer on almost every vegan documentary in recent years.
If he's not producing it, he's narrating it.
Exactly. So from sticking up for dairy cows and their children in an Oscar acceptance speech to narrating 2 of the most iconic animal rights films of all time, Dominion and Earthlings, to regularly attending vigils and protests, Joaquin Phoenix is one of the most dedicated and influential vegan activists on Earth. He even helped save a cow and her baby from a slaughterhouse just days after his Oscar speech.
Gotta love Joaquin.
You do.
He's a quirky fella.
We like quirky.
Yeah. I remember at one point where Joaquin Phoenix said he was not going to act anymore. He was going to become a rap star.
Really?
Yeah. Now, this is years ago, maybe late 90s, early 2000s. And like he was kind of unrecognizable. Oh, and again, this was a David Letterman interview. This was back when David Letterman had his late night television show. Mm-hmm. And David Letterman was totally taken aback by him because he was just acting very strange. You wouldn't recognize him. He had all this long, scraggly hair, and he said he was never going to act again, and he was starting his rap career.
All right.
So, yeah, he's an odd duck.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, as an activist,
more power to him.
We will definitely take him.
Oh, without a doubt.
Number 8 on their list is Kip Anderson.
Again, one of the major producers of almost every vegan documentary of the past several years.
Yeah, you might not find Kip Anderson leading an animal rights march or debating meat eaters on YouTube, but he may have helped more people become vegan than anyone else on this list. Anderson has been a writer, director, and or producer for 3 of the most important vegan films of all time, Cowspiracy, What the Health, and Seaspiracy. He's truly a living legend.
No argument there. No argument there whatsoever. I mean, we've said many times that What the Health is probably one of the most influential vegan forward films out there.
I think it's the most accessible information out there for if you want to share it with like non-vegan family members and stuff like that. I think it's a good place to start.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there we go. Now, At the number 9 spot, we have Paul and Asal. Anyone who has been an animal rights activist for a while has probably heard of Anonymous for the Voiceless. The group, which wears TVs showing footage of animals being exploited while interacting with the public, was founded by Paul Bashir and Asal Alamdari. It is one of the most effective and rewarding forms of activism out there.
There is a Buffalo chapter of Anonymous for the Voiceless. They call it the Cubes of Truth, where they stand with the TV monitors showing slaughterhouse footage and factory farm footage. I think they're a good organization. I just don't agree with the fact that animals are voiceless. But it's just a name. It's a catchy name.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I've wanted to be part of a Cube of Truth for a long time.
Oh, have you?
I would really like to do that.
Yeah, well, you can look into that.
Yeah, well, I have, and it seems like there's not a lot of information on the Buffalo chapter.
Really? Maybe they're just not
for the Voiceless.
Not as active as
maybe
some
not.
other.
So, yeah, I need to do a little bit more research. You know, maybe the Toronto chapter is a little bit more active, and they might have a thing like when we happen to be up there or something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, so. Yeah, because I would really like to do that.
Yeah. Who's next on the list? The final person on the list.
And this is certainly a case of last but not least. And this is Ingrid Newkirk. So 72 years old and still going strong, PETA's president, Ingrid Newkirk, is one of the greatest vegan activists of all time. In recent years, she has released a book called Animal Kind and, of course, continues to lead the largest animal rights organization in the world.
Yeah, and say what you will about PETA, a lot of people have mixed emotions about PETA and their
tactics.
Yeah, their tactics, but I think PETA gets a lot done.
They do.
You know, you can't argue with the fact that they get a lot done. They also have a lot of really great resources for young people and even children, you know, young children. I respect what PETA does.
Absolutely.
You know, not to mention the fact that if it wasn't for PETA, you couldn't look on the back of your shampoo bottle.
Right.
And see, you know,
the Leaping Bunny.
The Leaping Bunny,
Yep.
cruelty-free, PETA certified.
That's right.
They are responsible for a lot of that.
That's right.
You know, so.
Yeah.
They make being vegan a little easier.
Yeah. I am definitely pro PETA.
Yeah, I'm pro PETA. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm not like joining a chapter or, you know, going to work for them or anything, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who are you going to work for?
I'm already working for you, I think.
Since when am I the boss of anything?
You're the boss, applesauce.
That was funny, though.
So what do you think about this list? I mean,
I think it's a good list.
There are other people, of course, that could be on this list, but
easily.
You know, it could go on and on and on. OneGreenPlanet.org is kind of a really cool site. I wasn't super familiar with their site, but there's a lot of really good articles and resources and stuff on their site.
Yes, there are.
We'll link to all these articles in the show notes. Annette, if you're listening, the show notes are Sam's not laughing at you. She's laughing with you. The show notes, if you're looking for the show note, Annette honestly didn't know where show notes are. And I understand that. The show notes, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or really any app where you're listening to the podcast, the show notes are just below the show. You might see the title and then you'll see some text. And usually there's like a little thing that says more. If you click that more, it'll open it up and you'll see an explanation of what's going on in the show and then all the links that I provide from what we were talking about. So, and that's not just for Annette. It's for a lot of people that don't know where show notes are.
I don't know where show notes are.
Yeah. And if you can't find that, if it's too difficult or whatever, or your app is quirky or whatever, you can always get the show notes on YouTube.
Yes.
Just below the video. And people are much more used to that format, the YouTube format. So.
Yep.
So there you go.
Now, our next article I am super, super excited about. So, Peter Singer's Animal Liberation Now adds climate change discourse to his seminal 1975 book. So, if you have studied moral philosophy sometime in the last few decades, or if you are involved in the animal rights movement, you're probably familiar with Peter Singer. The moral philosopher, Princeton University bioethics professor, and author is perhaps best known for his seminal 1975 book, Animal Liberation, the definitive classic of the animal movement. The book uncovered the truth of what goes on in factory farms and animal testing labs and is often credited with helping kick off the animal rights movement. So in 2023, nearly 5 decades after the book first hit shelves, Singer has published a revised version titled Animal Liberation Now.
Yeah, we had the pleasure of hearing Mr. Singer speak at the Animal Advocacy Summit in D.C. last year.
Yeah, the Animal and Vegan Advocacy Summit in D.C. last year. And it was just a little bit awe-inspiring.
It was. I mean, you would have thought Bruce Springsteen walked out when he walked out.
It was amazing.
The place erupted.
It really did.
He's definitely a rock star in the vegan world.
No question.
Yep.
So, yeah, I know I was just a little bit starstruck, being just 3 rows away from Peter Singer talking about animal liberation. It was just crazy. Anyway, the major puzzle piece that has been missing from the book over the past 48 years is, of course, the climate crisis. So it's something that he just didn't address in the book. So it's no coincidence that as the factory farming industry has expanded over the last few decades, climate change has only gotten worse. And Animal Liberation Now makes that connection very clear. Additionally, the revised book touches on the connection between animal agriculture and COVID-19, assesses the progress made by the vegan movement, and includes plant-based recipes and alternatives for those who want to stop supporting the unjust animal agriculture industry. And like the original 1975 book, the new edition will hopefully awaken millions more readers to the horrors of factory farming and motivate them to make a change.
We have the original book.
Oh, absolutely.
But now do we have to get the new book?
Oh, yes.
I want to see what's in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the original is, of course, a cornerstone of my vegan library.
Right.
But no, this will have to join it without question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Go Peter Singer.
Always go Peter Singer.
Yeah. He shows no signs of slowing down
no,
in his
definitely
activism.
Not. Nope.
Yeah, I mean, and with what's been going on with the Canadian wildfires and a number of other climate change things that are happening in the world. I mean, really, if you look, there are sites where you can look. I mean, most of the globe is on fire at this point.
Yeah.
And so much of that is caused by the reduction in ecosystems and the fact that the temperature of the earth has risen significantly.
Absolutely.
And so we, like I said, we hadn't had rain in close to 2 months. The seasons are all out of whack and everything. So, climate change is here, people. It's real. And animal agriculture plays a huge part in that. So I'm interested to read what he has to say about climate change.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that as well.
So we had a couple other things we were going to talk about, but things are going kind of long. So we'll save those last 2 subjects that we were going to touch on for another episode and move on to our reason of the week. Okay, so what is our reason to be vegan?
Okay, this week's reason to be vegan, again, coming from the wonderful book, 72 Reasons to be Vegan, Why Plant-Based, Why Now, by Jean Stone and Kathy Freston, is reason number 61. Pandemics like COVID-19 are preventable. Here's a word you probably don't know but should, and one you'll be hearing more about: zoonotic. Although it sounds like being hypnotized by a zoo, it refers to illnesses that are caused by viruses, bacteria, or parasites transmitted between animals and humans and then from person to person, which is, for example, exactly how the coronavirus pandemic began. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, about 60% of all known infectious diseases and 73% of emerging ones are of zoonotic origin. This can happen when people come into contact with the flesh or bodily fluids of sick animals, whether they're domestic livestock or wild creatures hunted for food. As humans press ever farther into wildlife habitats and travel and trade globally, these potentially deadly germs are more frequently spread around the world with us, and industrial-scale factory farming only aggravates the problem. Each year, tens of thousands of Americans fall ill from animal-borne illnesses, especially babies, the elderly, and those with compromised immune systems. A 2012 report by the International Livestock Research Institute found that animal-to-human diseases kill more than 2 million people each year, mostly in low to middle-income countries, and that most of those infections come from livestock. Here's how some of the headline-making outbreaks have been linked to carnivory. COVID-19. It will take the world countless years to recover from the devastating effects of this pandemic. Experts widely agree that COVID-19, which is caused by the coronavirus SARS-CoV-2, originated in a wet market, a large marketplace that sells fresh meat, fish, and produce. With thousands of people and live and slaughtered animals packed closely together, novel viruses can spawn and spread easily, which is precisely what happened in Wuhan, China near the end of 2019. Bird flu, aka avian influenza. The causal virus is found naturally in wild water birds, but it can infect domestic chickens and other poultry and then spread to humans via their blood or undercooked meat. Avian influenza germs sometimes combine with similar human flu strains to create dangerous epidemics like the Spanish flu of 1918-19, which afflicted 500 million people worldwide. Swine flu. This airborne, virus-caused respiratory disease causes regular outbreaks in pigs, and pork farmers and some pork eaters are more likely than others to get it from the infected swine. As with bird flu, the human and porcine versions of the virus can combine and spread further. Ebola. This often deadly, highly contagious disease, marked by severe pain, diarrhea, and internal bleeding, is spread by contact with bodily fluids from infected people. The 2014 outbreak, which the World Health Organization estimated to have killed at least 5,000 people, emerged from Central Africa and is believed to have been contracted by individuals who had handled or eaten infected bushmeat. Unprocessed wild animal meats, including non-human primates, antelope, and bats, among others, are a major source of protein for rural people near tropical forests in parts of the developing world, so it's an ongoing risk. AIDS. Acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. This disease is caused by a virus called HIV and is also linked to bushmeat, most likely an infected chimpanzee in West Africa. Although AIDS became prominent in the news in the early 1980s, scientists now believe it probably emerged decades earlier. According to the AIDS Institute, the simian version of HIV most likely mutated into the human version after people who hunted the animals for food encountered the monkey's infected blood. A simple summary: we have outgrown the dated system of using animals to produce meat and milk. It's killing us in too many ways.
Yeah, I think Mother Nature is trying to send us a message.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we should pay attention.
Yeah. Leave the animals and the creatures of the earth to their own devices as much as possible.
Eat plants.
Yeah. Or suffer the consequences.
Essentially.
That was a good reason.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ooh, guess what?
It's listener shout out time. It must be because you get excited when you say,
It is.
Guess what?
It's time for this week's listener shout out.
Just want to give a shout out to all my fans watching. I love you guys. I love you.
Would you like to do this? I always do this.
Sure, I'll do this one.
Okay, go for it.
This week's listener shout out goes out to Jill Favada. You might know her as Vegan Jill. She's a vegan community leader in the Buffalo area. She is a Western New York VegFest organizer, a loving mother. Jill enjoys hiking, bird watching, photography, and spending time with her family. Jill, please contact us with your t-shirt size and address so that we can send you a Compassion and Cucumbers swag bag. You can email us at compassionandcucumbers@gmail.com or just DM us on Instagram and I'll get that out to you.
Awesome. Gotta love Jill.
Jill is a force in the vegan community in Buffalo.
She is a fabulous, fabulous force.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That brings us to the keeping of the house.
It does. It does. Now, I know I failed in my quest to revise the housekeeping.
I've revised it a little bit.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So I will carry on. So first things first, we want to try your favorite vegan recipes, and we want to include them in our listener recipes segment. You can email or DM us the vegan meals that you love to make. Send us those recipes so we can try them and talk about them on the podcast.
And here are some things that you can subscribe to. Number 1, subscribe to the podcast. Number 2, subscribe to our YouTube. You can subscribe to our newsletter through our website. And also become a patron on our Patreon. All the links to all of these things are in the show notes.
We are currently running a fundraiser for the Food Empowerment Project at our Buy Me a Coffee site. This is a new fundraiser, and we will be matching your donations. The Food Empowerment Project seeks to create a more just and sustainable world by recognizing the power of one's food choices. They encourage healthy food choices that reflect a more compassionate society by spotlighting the abuse of animals on farms, the depletion of natural resources, unfair working conditions for produce workers, and the unavailability of healthy foods in low-income areas. If you'd like to contribute to this fundraiser, you can go to our Buy Me a Coffee site. That is buymeacoffee.com/cucumbers.
Follow Sam's Etsy site, Cucumber Craftworks. If you are interested in beautiful hand-knit scarves, handmade jewelry, handmade,
I don't knit the jewelry.
handmade jewelry and bead art. It's all vegan and it's all made with love. So check it out. It's Cucumber Craftworks on Etsy.
Want to get a listener shout out like Jill did today? Send us a DM or email letting us know you listen and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, you can leave us a review on your podcast app. That helps other people find us. And if you can't leave a review on your app, you can always rate us. And the 5 is good. 5 stars. We like that.
If I remember correctly, didn't we get a new review that you wanted to read?
We did. We recently got a new review. And as promised, I am going to read you said review. This review comes to us from Annette Stonebreaker. Thank you, Annette.
Thank you, Annette.
Annette writes, Christine and Sam have a great podcast. Oh my gosh, that's so great. Listening to their show feels like sitting with your friends chatting, and yet at the same time, they seem like a professional radio show. It seems like they have been doing it for much longer than they have.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Great show for new vegans, or also for those without other vegans around them.
Yeah.
Also great for omniparents with vegan kids. Wow. Thank you so much, Annette. That's a fantastic review.
Yes. Thank you.
And I don't really like to toot our own horn, but I'm really glad you sent that in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am too.
That was really
It was
sweet.
really very sweet. Yes.
And
Thank
of course,
you so much.
Annette did give us the coveted 5 stars.
Woohoo. Thank you, Annette. You're the best.
Yeah. Hey, share our social media posts. That's the easiest way that you can support us, and it doesn't cost you anything. So if you see us on social media, share our posts, like them, comment on them if you feel like you want to comment. And then last but not least, we want you to what?
Join the AFA Vegan Voter Hub. Give to them if you can as well. The Agriculture Fairness Alliance is lobbying on our behalf so that our vegan voices are heard. If you want to make real change on the upcoming farm bill, join the Voter Hub.
And I guess that is the end of episode 91 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast. There's nothing left to do but to say,
where cukes and compassion are always the fashion on the podcast.
Thank you, James. We'll talk to you next week.
Have a great week.
Thanks for listening. We love you. Bye.
The end.
Yeah, and there is a Buffalo chapter of Phenomena.
Phenomena. Phenomena.
Okay. Do you want to support the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast? Well, you can do that by joining our Patreon page. We have 3 different levels of support, and all 3 come with their own special bonuses. Hey, you can support the podcast and get yourself some really cool merch. All the links and deets are in the show notes. We'll catch you next week on the next episode of Compassion and Cucumbers.